Hi, everybody. So today I am going to be going over with you the Lincoln Douglas debate requirements so that you can start thinking about it and get prepared for the Lincoln Douglas debates, which will be starting next week. So let's talk a little bit about what we need to do. So for the Lincoln Douglas debates, this first on your daily class plans, if you take a look over here, this is the link to what I'm about to show you. The very first thing that's linked on there, Lincoln Douglas debate. So this is the general kind of idea between the Lincoln Douglas debates. You know how we started the cross-examination debate discussing values, and you got that list of value possibilities? The Lincoln Douglas debate is entirely based on values. It is suggesting a policy change, so similar to the cross-examination debate, but this one, everything needs to be directly tied to a value. It's not just about changing policy or changing law. It's about changing the way we think about policy and law and changing and discussing what it is that we should value as American citizens. So it's basically a debate that combines policy with the value of being an American: freedom, justice, equal opportunity for all, the value of life, all of those things on the value list. You want to combine to talk about why those values make the policy worthwhile. So, first of all, general information. You have to complete everything on the date that's due. There was one group in the cross-examination debate that I did not see a final copy of your constructive until after the debate was done. And that is unacceptable for the Lincoln Douglas debate. There are so many components to this. So keep in mind, due dates are firm. I need to see first draft copies and final draft copies. You will get a 0 on the debate, regardless of what you have done on the day of the debate, if you don't turn in a final constructive on the day that it's due. Is that understandable? Okay. The other thing that I want you to make sure that you know is if someone happens to be absent, the next group must be prepared to go. Or, because we're doing team debates, I'm going to actually allow you to choose if you want to debate as an individual or if you want to debate with a partner. If you debate as an individual, if too many people choose to debate as individual, we won't be seeing all the debates in class. Some of the debates will happen during afternoon office hours. The rest of the class will not be required to come to afternoon office hours to watch the debate. However, they'll be invited to attend. So I'd rather have, just like the cross-examination debate, 2 people debating 2 people. But if you want to work by yourself, if there's a number of people who want to do that, I think we might be able to make that work, as long as it's an even number of people who want to debate by themselves. However, that means that once we choose the schedule, even if you're scheduled, like if it's a Tuesday and the next groups don't go until Thursday, if for some reason we can't do a debate because the entire team is absent on the Tuesday, we will go to the Thursday debates. You need to be ready to debate if you are the next up, even if it's on the next day of class. Okay? All right. Let's talk about documentation. So for this debate, you need to have at least 5 sources. I'm actually checking the number of sources. You are also going to be required to use the Google citation tool to record those sources. And I'll walk you through once again how that Google citation tool works. Evaluate your sources. You're going to be using a sheet to evaluate your sources to make sure that they are good quality, non-biased sources that present evidence and not just opinion. And so we'll be doing that as one of the assignments in class. You will be using direct quotes from your sources with evidence. You will not be paraphrasing the sources. So we'll be taking a look at what direct quotes are the best ones. Everything's going to be in MLA format, just like everything has been so far. And you will need to choose no more than 3 values. So 1 to 3 values to support your position. The values must be defined. I will give you the value sheet You can also include your own values, but remember, the values are based on what it means to be an American citizen or what we should value as an American society. It's all about the United States of America. So that list that I gave you is a start to that, but if you know of a value that you want to run by me that you think isn't on that list or that you think applies better to what your policy is, let me know. All right. You will need to prepare 20 questions. I don't want 20, 10 questions ahead of time for the Lincoln Douglas debates for your cross-examination. And you're going to be you're going to turn in those 10 different questions, and you'll have a copy that you'll be turning in as part of a Schoology assignment. Okay, so this is the outline of the Lincoln Douglas debate. Begins with an introduction, just like cross-examination, moves into definitions from your proposition statement. You should have 3 values, which you will explain in one section of your paper. You should have 3 contentions. Each contention needs to be connected to a value. This connects to the value of, and you need to state that clearly within your paper. So it's not something where we guess what the value is connected to. You have to clearly state for your signposting which value each contention is connected to. If when you finish writing your contentions, you find that one of the 3 values that you chose are not represented in the contentions, then you have to delete that value. Only values that are represented in your contention should be introduced in this paragraph. Okay, so then conclude. And then I have 2 statements and supports, 2 reasons and supports for each contention, but you might have more. Okay. And then conclusion, you'll see that you end with the same sentence. This is why I urge you to vote for the negative, affirmative, whatever. You have to say that. There were a couple groups in the cross-examination debate so far that have forgotten to say that at the end of their conclusions. You need to say that even if you run out of time for your conclusion. If I'm about to call time and you see it, you have to end your speech and say, this is why I urge you to vote for the negative or the affirmative. All right. You will be choosing a philosopher whose ideas underlie your value. And we'll be talking about that more specifically in class. But once you choose your values, everything is built around that. So you want to choose a person, a philosopher who has spoken about your values in like a writing or something along those lines. This is the timing for the Lincoln Douglas debates. So you see this is a long speech, a 6-minute speech. There's 2-minute cross-examination, and then there's the 6-minute negative speech, but it's actually a 5-minute speech. So if you're on the negative side, you have 5 minutes speech followed immediately with a 1-minute rebuttal. So affirmative side has to have a longer constructive, negative side has a shorter constructive, but they have no prep time between their constructive and their first rebuttal. Then there's a cross-examination of 2 minutes followed by affirmative rebuttal. And then there is the negative rebuttal and then an affirmative rebuttal at the end, and then 3 minutes for each. You'll notice this is a very bouncing around kind of debate. You've gotten used to the pattern that I've established for you. Now this is what actual debate is like. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Keep in mind that if you end up on the negative side, once again, you have a 5-minute speech requirement, not a 6-minute speech for your constructive. And you want to make sure that you have it within that time. So there's about 28 minutes for the debates, which means we're only going to be able to do 1 per class period because of the prep time and everything like that that's involved in it. And it is a lot longer. Okay. Another thing that you're going to be doing in this speech, and we'll get to this a little bit later, are evidence cards. So you want to take a look at potential evidence cards. And kind of look that over and get an idea of what those are and what they mean. You'll be required to turn in digital evidence cards. Okay, before we meet next, you will need to make sure that you have your partner chosen. And then I'm also going to move up into the daily class plans with links. A link, the second link underneath the Lincoln Douglas debate link, will be a link to potential topics. Go over the links for topics and decide which topics you might want to do. I would choose 3 as possibilities and which side you might want to be on for that debate so that you're ready to go. Also, have your partner chosen and decide whether you want to work with a partner or whether you want to work by yourself. And I will ask you to let me know that after the next class period, which is going to be our final cross examination debate. So at the end of that debate, we're going to make sure that we have partners and potential topics chosen. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, and I'll see you next class period.